Hello and welcome. You're watching NDTV 24/7. I'm Osama Shab. The big story, that is the Prime Minister's visit to Tamil Nadu. Prime Minister, he is in Chennai in Tamil Nadu, he was in Thoothukudi this is his two-day visit. This is in the run-up to the Tamil Nadu elections, and BJP's Vikas push in Tamil Nadu. The Prime Minister gifted projects worth rupees 4,800 crore as the BJP pitches its battle for the southern states. Prime Minister there, speaking at the public rally, invoked Operation Sindoor in that speech. He also lauded the historic UK FTA deal.
इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर और एनर्जी ये किसी भी स्टेट के डेवलपमेंट की बैकबोन होते हैं। इन 11 इयर्स में इंफ्रा और एनर्जी पर हमारा फोकस ये बताता है कि तमिलनाडु का विकास हमारी कितनी बड़ी प्रायोरिटी है। ब्रिटेन और भारत के बीच फ्री ट्रेड एग्रीमेंट हुआ है। आज भारत की ग्रोथ में दुनिया अपनी ग्रोथ देख रही है। ये एग्रीमेंट भी भारत की अर्थव्यवस्था को नई मजबूती देगा। इस एफटीए एग्रीमेंट के बाद ब्रिटेन में बिकने वाले 99% भारतीय प्रोडक्ट्स पर कोई टैक्स नहीं लगेगा। भारत ब्रिटेन एफटीए से तमिलनाडु के युवाओं को, हमारे छोटे उद्योगों, एमएसएमईज को, स्टार्टअप्स को सबसे अधिक लाभ होगा। आप सभी ने अभी ऑपरेशन सिंदूर के दौरान मेक इन इंडिया की ताकत देखी है। आतंक के ठिकानों को मिट्टी में मिलाने में मेड इन इंडिया हथियारों की बड़ी भूमिका रही है। भारत में बने हथियार आज भी आतंक के आकाओं की नींद उड़ाए हुए हैं।
Prime Minister Modi has tried to build a strong case that Tamil Nadu remains a priority for the union government in terms of infrastructural development, in terms of energy push, in terms of improving the air, road, rail and sea connectivity in Tamil Nadu, giving the example of the new terminal inaugurated in Tuticorin today, the new port infrastructure developed and inaugurated today, besides several highways and railways projects across Tamil Nadu. And he also focused in terms of the allocation of funds by the NDA government at the centre, claiming to be 3 lakh crores over the last 10 years, which Modi says is 3 times what was released during the UPA regime. This comes amid criticism of financial discrimination by the ruling DMK in Tamil Nadu. Elections are still 8 months away and BJP has a negligible presence in Tamil Nadu, and Modi hopes this kind of a push, this kind of a showcasing will help improve or expand the party's footprint. This comes amidst criticism by the ruling DMK in Tamil Nadu of financial discrimination, withholding of funds to Tamil Nadu on the non-implementation of the national education policy, Hindi imposition, and no major projects allocated or allotted for Tamil Nadu. Tomorrow, Prime Minister Modi will be at Ariyalur at the Gangaikonda Cholapuram temple, where he would be part of 25 Shaivite Mathheads celebrating the 1000th year of the Emperor Rajendra Chola's expedition, maritime expedition to Southeast Asia. And this BJP sources say Modi aims to strike a chord with the Matsya, although they don't have a cult-like following in Tamil Nadu. In the long run, they hope this will also help the BJP expand its footprint. This also comes at a time when the BJP has revived twice by the AIADMK. Tonight, EPS, AIADMK chief, would also meet Prime Minister Modi. And already, Chief Minister M.K. Stalin also has given a memorandum through the Finance Minister urging the Prime Minister to fulfill a set of unfulfilled demands of projects in Tamil Nadu. So all eyes will be on what he would speak tomorrow. But the larger political picture, slowly and steadily, the BJP is trying to expand their footprint in a state where they have negligible presence at the moment.
The Enforcement Directorate has conducted raids on multiple premises of Anil Ambani, seizing documents and hard drives in a money laundering probe linked to the Yes Bank scam. Investigations have revealed a potential 24,000 crore rupees scam, with SBI now classifying Reliance Communications as fraud and multiple agencies probing the group firms. My colleague Shrimi Chaudhary gets us more.
Well, massive search operation began on July 24th has concluded against Anil Ambani group of companies. Sources tells us that huge volume of data along with some physical paper, computer hard disks were recovered in last 3 days of extensive search operation from multiple premises, and from Monday onwards the sleuths is going to examine all these data and documents, and basis of that perhaps we could see that some summon may be issued and questioning will begin related to the money laundering case, which at present suspect to be 24,000 crore. Now, remember 35 plus location along with 50 entities as well as 25 officials were covered under this extensive search operation, and the preliminary inquiry reveals that 3,000 crore of loan has been actually illegally diverted to many such companies of ADAG group of companies and also to some shell companies, and in fact the ED has red flagged the nexus of the bribe and the loan is what ED currently looking at, and in fact it also raises a huge concern on the due diligence and the violation that has been done while sanctioning the huge loan from the Yes Bank. They're also questioning certain companies and the complex web of transaction with respect to the housing finance company, where the corporate loan has doubled from 3,500 plus crore to some 8,700 crore is also something ED looking at. Plus, the Reliance Mutual Fund investment into 81 bond of Yes Bank is also something CBI is currently looking at, and perhaps ED will also take up the matter once CBI book the case. The other company, Reliance Infra, is also under question, where 10,000 crore of investment actually done to several group of companies disguised as inter-corporate deposit, and that is something where the name C company has emerged. The role of that C companies is also under ED question. That was, being given as a hidden entity, never disclosed as related party, perhaps to, escape audit committee scrutiny as well as the norms which is being laid by the SEBI for the related party transaction. So all sort of complex web transaction is currently ED looking into, and perhaps we could see some more cases being booked into some more companies of ADAG group of companies, what indication we are getting.
A young woman's dream to serve as a home guard has turned into a horrific ordeal, one that has now triggered shock and outrage across the country. The Union Minister Chirag Paswan has sharply criticized the Nitish Kumar-led Bihar government over the rising crime in the state. And this comes after a 26-year-old woman aspirant of Home Guard was allegedly gang raped inside a moving ambulance in Bihar's Bodh Gaya. 2 accused, including the ambulance driver Vinay Kumar and technician Ajit Kumar, have been arrested in this connection so far. Meanwhile, Chirag Paswan, he said that criminal incidents are happening one after the other and the administration is failing to stop them. He said that the law and order situation in the state is out of control and added that he feels sad to be supporting a government where crime continues unchecked.
25 तारीख को बोध गया BMP 17 के परिसर में होमगार्ड बहाली में महिला अभ्यर्थियों की दौड़ थी और उसी क्रम में एक महिला अभ्यर्थी जो है मूर्छित होकर के गिर गई और काफी प्रयास किया गया उसको वहीं पर रिकवर करने का, लेकिन बाद में उपस्थित व्यक्तियों ने उसे हॉस्पिटल ले जाने के लिए कहा और पुलिसकर्मियों और अन्य उपस्थित व्यक्तियों के सहयोग से उसे एम्बुलेंस में भेज करके और NMC भेजा गया। बाद में लगभग 2:30 बजे महिला अभ्यर्थी ने यह आरोप लगाया कि एम्बुलेंस में जो कर्मी थे उनके के द्वारा उसके साथ दुर्व्यवहार और दुष्कर्म किया गया है और इस सूचना को प्राप्त होती है हमने तुरंत अविलंब कार्रवाई की और उसका चिकित्सकीय परीक्षण प्राप्त किया।
इसमें प्रशासन की मिली भगत है और या फिर प्रशासन इस पे लीपापोती करने का कार्य कर रहा है और या फिर पूरी तरीके से प्रशासन निकम्मा हो चुका है और अब इनके बस का नहीं है बिहार और बिहारियों को सुरक्षित रखना। ऐसे में पुनः एक बार मैं बिहार सरकार से आग्रह करूंगा, ज़रूरी है समय रहते हम लोगों को इसके ऊपर कार्रवाई करने की।
राजनेताओं को बयान देने के पहले अपने गिरबान में भी झांकना चाहिए। जो लोग बिहार की कानून व्यवस्था पर सवाल खड़े कर रहे हैं, पहले ये तो सुनिश्चित करें कि उनके दल में आपराधिक प्रवृत्ति के लोगों को एंट्री नहीं मिलेगी। ये बेहद आवश्यक है कि नसीहत देना, आलोचना करना अगर केवल आपका कर्तव्य है और उससे आपकी जिम्मेदारी की तीसरी हो जाती है तो इतना काफ़ी नहीं है। देश में अपराध मुक्त किसी भी राज्य की कल्पना करना आज के दौर में बेहद मुश्किल है।
Time for a very short break. More news and updates on the other side. Welcome back. News now from Jhalawar in Rajasthan, where a school building collapsed and seven children were killed, including 4 boys and 3 girls in that tragedy. My colleague Harsha Kumari Singh, she spoke to the family members of the people who lost their lives. They feel let down by criminal negligence. Listen in.
मैडम, आपने नियुक्ति पत्र भी दिए हैं, कुछ राहत मिलेगी?
हाँ, ये तो सबको मिलेगी नियुक्ति पत्र। 3 दिन बाद जब वो तय करेंगे किसको देना है, अभी तो हमको मालूम था इस परिवार का, इनको तो दे दिया है। जो दूसरे परिवार वाले जो तय करेंगे उसी हिसाब से होगा।
7 children died and 7 homes now wear an absolutely forlorn look. ये ऐसा घर है जहाँ 2 भाई बहन की एक साथ मौत हो गई। उनके पिता बिल्कुल होश हवास नहीं है। आपकी पत्नी का भी बीमारी हो गया है।
छोटू लाल है मेरा नाम तो, और मेरी मीना है 10 साल की और 7 साल का बच्चा है काना।
और सुबह उनका कुछ टिफिन इफिन बन रहा था और उसके पहले ही ये खबर आई।
टिफिन तो बाद में ले जाता मैं मेल के, और घर पे आए थे ये।
आपके कितने साथी थे जो उसमें दब गए थे? आपकी क्लास के बच्चे थे क्या?
हाँ, 5-6 तो बाहर थे और सारे दब गए।
आप नानी जी हैं?
हाँ, नानी जी है। वो अस्पताल में भर्ती है, कई बोतलें चढ़ रही है धनवा की।
वो रो रही है क्या? उसकी हालत क्या है?
भाई साहब, दीदी ले गया 2 बच्चा बची, एक ही में तख्ती में जो रो के बेहोश हो गई।
एक ही साथ चल गए दीदी।
क्या करते हैं इनके पापा मम्मी?
पापा मजदूरी करे दीदी, जमीन नहीं बिक गई, इलाज में कुछ भी नहीं बचा, बच्चा बच्ची भी नहीं बचा, अब किसके सहारे जिएगा।
News now from Pune in Maharashtra. A major accident happened on the Mumbai-Pune expressway near Khopoli in Raigad district, involving around 20 vehicles, which killed 1 person. According to preliminary information, this incident was triggered when a container truck reportedly suffered brake failure while descending a slope. This out-of-control truck, it rammed into multiple vehicles ahead of it, causing a massive pile-up. The accident took place on the Mumbai-bound lane in the jurisdiction of Khopoli police station. The affected stretch spans from the new tunnel to the Food Mall Hotel area, where several 4-wheelers and heavy vehicles were hit. For the first time in India's history, legal assistance will now be provided proactively to the families of soldiers. The new initiative, titled the Nalsa Veer Parivar Sahayata Yojana 2025, it is aimed at relieving Indian soldiers from the domestic legal burdens while they are serving in harsh terrains and far-flung regions. In a landmark judicial move, the message is, you serve the country at the borders, we will take care of your family at home. Speaking exclusively to NDTV, Supreme Court Senior Judge Justice Suryakant, he spoke to NDTV. Listen in to what he had to say.
We have Justice Suryakant, who is Executive Chairman of National Legal Service Authority, Senior Most Judge of Supreme Court, and next Chief Justice of India. Sir, it's a big event. What do you say about this? What is the event and what you want to do?
Yes, thank you very much, Ashish. First of all, I will convey my thanks to NDTV for giving full coverage at the nationwide to this event. This is on this historical day, which is also known as Kargil Vijay Divas. The National Legal Service Authority has launched a unique scheme that is known as Veer Parivar Sahayata Yojana 2025. This scheme is essentially meant for providing legal aid, legal assistance, legal advice, and any type of assistance in the legal form to the families of our Veer Jawans, our army personnel and paramilitary personnel who are, by unique nature of their duties, are posted at faraway places. They are in the remote areas. They are not in a position that in the event of any case filed against them or their family members with respect to any civil dispute or any kind of dispute, they are not in a position to go back and avail the quality legal assistance. And in that case, they should not feel that they will be left alone, and their privas, their families, their elder parents, or maybe their homemakers and their school-going children. So in this backdrop and in what has really been happening, so we just thought that it's our duty to come forward, to reach out and provide them this unique quality legal assistance through this unique scheme.
In Srinagar, with camera person Amir Bhatt, Ashish Bhargav for NDTV.
US President Donald Trump, he has intervened in the Thailand-Cambodia border clash, warning that US will not pursue trade deals with countries at war. Trump has spoken with the prime ministers of both the nations and amid reports of at least 32 deaths in the border clashes. Donald Trump has in fact warned both Thailand and Cambodia, saying that there will be no trade deal with countries who are at war. India and the Maldives are strengthening ties, with Prime Minister Modi attending the Maldives Independence Day celebrations. President Muizu and Prime Minister Modi, they are working towards a potential free trade agreement, marking a new chapter in this strategic partnership. In fact, speaking on the FTA deal with India, President Muizu, he said that he is hopeful of the FTA soon.
Sir, what about the FTA? How hopeful are you? The FTA?
Very hopeful, very hopeful. I think we just started on it, and definitely we hope to conclude it very soon.
Well, reset in the ties of India and Maldives has been the main aim and main commemoration of Prime Minister Narendra Modi participating in the official 60th Independence Day celebrations of Maldives. India and Maldives have shared a 60-year-old relationship. In fact, this is also a celebration of that 60-year-old legacy. Prime Minister Modi, while speaking yesterday, said very clearly that India believes in neighborhood first, it believes in friendship first. India and Maldives did witness a chill, witness a time of frostiness 2 years ago, but there has been a lot of efforts that has been made from the Indian side and also from the side of Maldives to set the equation right. In fact, that also was reflected in Prime Minister's participation in that official function today. And just to show you a few things that India has also been doing to set the equation right, this is the Ministry of Defence's building. India has been helping out Maldives when it comes to tiding over the economic crisis. So a list of outcomes that were announced yesterday, including expansion of line of credit and also reduction of loan repayment obligations on the part of Maldives were announced by India. There are also some announcements with regard to digital transformation and a UPI very soon to help tourists of both Maldives and India has also been announced. There's an FTA that's in progress. In fact, I did ask President Muizu what he thinks of the FTA. He said he's extremely hopeful. In Maldives, people say from onions to eggs to cement, everything comes from India. So there's a lot of dependency. There's also a lot of potential for India's trade to grow. So clearly a lot of decisions are being worked out when it comes to mutually beneficial trade talks. So clearly from the Chill of India Out campaign that brought President Moitzu to power, to the warmth of trade talks, understanding and rebuilding trust. Prime Minister Narendra Modi's visit to Maldives, a 2-day visit to Maldives, a country with which India had seen a certain sense of decline in relationship, but somehow the relationship is back on track thanks to quiet diplomacy by our diplomats, and all of them agreeing to the fact that strategy is what works and not really direct confrontation.
Bannerghatta Biological Park successfully exported elephants to Japan in a landmark animal exchange. In a historic first, Bannerghatta Biological Park in Bengaluru has completed its first ever international animal export, marking a major milestone in its legacy. Confirming the successful completion of this journey, park authorities, they said that this exchange is part of a multi-animal exchange agreement approved by the Central Zoo Authority of India, under which Bannerghatta Biological Park will receive 4 cheetahs, 4 jaguars, 4 pumas, 3 chimpanzees and 8 black-capped capuchin monkeys in return. This, in fact, marks the second time India has sent elephants to Japan, the previous occasion being in May 2021, when 3 elephants were sent from Mysuru Zoo to Toyohashi Zoo and Botanical Park. That's all we have for you. Keep watching NDTV for more news and updates.